tonight. Caught in the crosshairs. Some students won't be going to Europe this Easter break because of the ongoing contract dispute between teachers and the government. Also, with about 6 weeks until CFL training camp, we hear from the Riders quarterback who says he is ready to go. Plus, a mac and cheese knockdown in an attempt to raise food for the food bank and set a world record in Battleford.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, March 28th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. The political fight over the federal carbon price is still heating up. Ottawa will increase the tax and the rebates that go with it on April 1st. But federal Conservatives and many provincial premiers are campaigning to stop it. Ashley Burke reports.
It's a beautiful Axe the Tax t-shirt.
Conservatives coming together to fight the carbon tax. Alberta's premier joining Pierre Poilievre's rally in Edmonton, just days before the federal tax is set to go up, then taking her message to MPs.
This isn't just reckless, it's immoral and it's inhumane.
Danielle Smith was among 3 Conservative premiers speaking out at a parliamentary committee this week.
This cost is not helping. It isn't driving innovation.
The Liberals allege the Conservative chair hijacked the committee so premiers could rail against the carbon tax as a political stunt.
Is it the case that you're more interested in playing politics than actually looking after the affordability of New Brunswickers and tackling climate change?
On the contrary, I think the playing politics I've witnessed here.
7 premiers oppose Monday's hike to the price of fossil fuel. Consumers can expect to pay about 3 cents more for a litre of gas. Quarterly rebates sent to households are also rising to help offset the costs.
Do you think you're losing the communications battle here?
Conservative premiers specifically are misleading Canadians. The Conservative opposition in Ottawa and Pierre Poilievre are not telling the truth to Canadians.
Trudeau says Conservatives are failing to tell the public about those rebates.
It is more money in the pockets of families right across the country at a time where more money is needed, and it's concrete action to fight climate change.
There's other ways of reducing emissions other than digging into people's pockets and punishing companies.
The Prime Minister sent a letter calling on these premiers to come up with a credible alternative plan to reduce emissions, but there's no sign the tax hike is going anywhere. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Premier Scott Moe told media today that it doesn't matter who implements the carbon tax. He just wants it removed from consumers' bills as it's making life more expensive. Here's how the Premier responded when asked how the tension between the provinces and the federal government could be resolved.
At this point, after 8 years of working with the federal government on files that we can, like childcare, working with the federal government on funding the Canada Health Transfer, for example. But on this particular topic, it's going to take a change of government.
The STF and the government are still at an impasse in their contract negotiations. Now, some parents say the strike is really hurting students. Some trips they've been planned and fundraised for years now have been canceled. Priya Bhatt has more.
Any job action that we take is going to have an impact on students and their families. But we should have never been forced to take these steps or have had any sanction action.
Grade 12 student Georgia Price was supposed to be on her way to London and Paris this Easter weekend. But her chance to go on a trip with her classmates for one last time was crushed when the STF announced that extracurriculars would be cancelled as part of continuing job action.
My child was in tears. My child was devastated, frustrated. We were all very upset.
He says Georgia and many other students have been working extra shifts and raising funds for almost a year to save up for this trip. His focus is now on graduation.
Our oldest daughter missed grad because of COVID. Georgia missed grade 8 grad because of COVID. I'm going to monitor everything very closely and do everything that I can and speak up as much as I can to make sure that grad happens now and that there's no reason to cancel that.
The government has proposed a memorandum of understanding this week to address class size and complexity issues. It also promised graduation will go as planned.
Today, I'm announcing that all grade 12 graduation events will go ahead this spring. And government will be working with school divisions and parents to provide any resources necessary to ensure each of these ceremonies go ahead, regardless of any job action the teachers' union decides to take.
But the STF is asking the government to focus on coming to a deal.
I would hope that the Minister of Education and the President of the SSBA start looking at how can we find a solution to the dispute that's occurring within negotiations rather than worry about future job action. If we can find a resolution, then there won't be any further job action, and that should be everyone's priority.
Bicot says this is the closest the STF has been to returning for negotiations, and she's cautiously optimistic about the latest discussion. Priya Bhatt, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The federal government is announcing new money for childcare programs. Federal Ministers Jonathan Wilkinson and Anita Anand were in Regina today to discuss the changes. Childcare providers will now be eligible for $1 billion in federal government loans. There will also be extra student loan forgiveness for people going into childcare fields, and another $10 million to create more training spaces for early childhood educators. Anand says these programs will help all Canadians.
I have 4 children myself. They're all in their 20s now. I have twins in the mix there, and being here today to talk about childcare and talk about supporting families is of the utmost importance to our country. It also has a special meaning to me as well.
Anand says roughly 500,000 children have been lifted out of poverty in Canada in the years since the Liberal government came to power. A survivor of domestic violence is speaking out about housing conditions she endured after seeking help. Shannon Kay left a bad relationship a few years ago, but after settling in, a fire destroyed everything. After the fire, she says the Saskatchewan Housing Authority relocated her to Sturby Place. What came next was quite disturbing for Kay, who's a single mom of 7. Repeated sewage backups and black mold in the basement, leading to health problems for everyone.
The last sewage was really, really bad, this last one that we had, and it's I've noticed that this is the one that has created a lot of sickness within my children, especially my youngest, getting severe allergic reactions due to the mold with constant red eyes and getting like skin rashes on himself.
There's case is one of thousands where Sask housing units aren't kept in good repair and aren't able to provide safe and affordable housing to people in need. Shannon's neighbours, I heard from many of them, report cockroaches, bed bugs, in addition to black mold and frequent sewage backups.
Conway says the Housing Authority hasn't fixed the underlying issues. Social Services Minister says this year's budget included nearly $10 million for social housing upgrades. An update from the RCMP says the deaths of 4 people last weekend in Neudorf were a murder-suicide. A 67-year-old man, a 58-year-old woman, and a 30-year-old man were killed by a 34-year-old man who then killed himself. Police say they are all members of the same family. CBC has confirmed the property is owned by Gary and Joanne Bender. Police are not releasing the names of the people involved, but they say the next of kin have been notified. Piapot First Nation is shining a light on mental health and awareness. The First Nation hosted a conference at the Connexus Arts Centre over the last 2 days. One man from the community took the initiative and started a men's wellness group a year ago. With the success of it, he knew they needed to reach more people.
Our men folk, the ones that carry intergenerational trauma from residential school teachings, they're now moving more free. They're being more open about how they feel, even apologizing, breaking cycles, families against families. Now these people are understanding the significance of kinship, allowing the feelings to flow.
The conference discussed mental health, wellness, healing from trauma, harm reduction, and more. And it was all done through a cultural, holistic, and community-based lens. Sayer says the men's wellness group that prompted this is such a success, they're looking for a permanent space for it. Well, Well, the geese are back on Wascana Lake, but the water has yet to melt enough for them to actually do some swimming. Even though today was a bit warmer, there's some snow on the horizon that's going to come as a shock to our feathered friends. Tyreek Reed will have the details in his forecast after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Believe it or not, CFL training camps are set to begin in just over 6 weeks. And when things get going here, Saskatchewan quarterback Trevor Harris says he'll be ready to go. Harris had his 2023 season end in week 6 with a tibial plateau fracture. The veteran pivot is now 100% healed and has been working with the new coaching staff. He says he's encouraged by his time so far with offensive coordinator Mark Mueller.
We're going all in this year. This is the year that we're going to really do this thing. We've hired Corey Mace. We brought in an excellent offensive coordinator who's been wildly impressive to me in meetings with Coach Mueller. Him and I have worked pretty well together thus far, and it's been really fun getting to know him, learning his humility.
Training camps across the CFL start May 12th. The Rough Riders will play their first preseason game on May 20th at Mosaic Stadium. The National Wheelchair Curling Championships are well underway in Moose Jaw. 2 teams are representing Saskatchewan, including the defending champs, who are going for a record-breaking 5th title. We caught up with both skips.
To be playing in Moose Jaw at home for the 2024 Wheelchair Canadian National Championship it's a great feeling. I mean, every game is big. Every province, every team you're playing against, they're all tough. We know the other team is really good, so we'll have to come out hard and do our best. Our goals are to come home with the gold. We are home, but we want to win gold for a second year in a row.
And the fans come here, they're absolutely great. So hopefully they cheer for the good guys, which is us. But yeah, it's fantastic, it's good. Just to do the best we can. You know, we got four new people, and 2 are from Saskatoon, 2 are from Regina. So it's traveling to both places and working with them. So we just want to do our best. That's all we can ask for, and keep them in the sport because it's a great sport.
The main difference between wheelchair curling and able-bodied curling is there's no sweeping. So our draw weights, we don't have any sweeping to help us get there. We don't have any sweeping to help keep the line straight on takeouts. So we like to say that it's harder to have that. You have to be a little more accurate. You have to look at them a little bit differently.
You know, you have to be accurate. Everything has to be right on, hopefully. And yeah, it's different. It's a challenge. You know, the wheelchair curling, people get, they don't want to be in a chair to curl. If they can't curl, they used to curl. You know, come out, give it a try. That's all we say, you know. You'll like it. It's hard, but it's fun. Get a lot of great people here. You know, that's what I like, is that all the people from other provinces you meet, you have friends, and it's good. You know, every year, it's a good thing.
I think if we do get this record, defend last year's championship, and then end up with 5 golds, it'd be special if we won at home.
This weather update is brought to you by Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And if I remember right, I think the final draw is on 2:30 on Saturday in Moose Jaw. If you're ready to drive down the highway, Ty, and take in some Canadian top-level curling, but will the highways cooperate?
That's the question, Sam, that we got to answer, you know, because it is looking quite messy throughout Saskatchewan right now. We are tracking 2 different low-pressure systems. We're still seeing that one in the northwest that began on Tuesday, but now we have a new one developing to the southwest that's going to continue to move north and into the east, and that's going to pass through areas like Regina, and of course that's going to continue into tonight as well. So we're really going to be seeing that snowfall as it heads east. It's going to begin tapering off as we head into tomorrow. And as we head further into the weekend, we won't be having to worry about precipitation too much, but we will start to see that cloud cover make its way back in. Now, when we're talking about snow to southern Saskatchewan, we got to look at those totals. So by tomorrow afternoon, we are going to be seeing around 8 centimeters of snow in Regina. A little bit more further east, our friends in Hudson Bay looking at 13 centimeters of snow. So yeah, we're not quite done with the wintry weather just yet in Saskatchewan, and that'll continue as we head further into the weekend. The winds were gusting today, though, and they're still gusting right now in southern Saskatchewan, near 40 in Regina, and even more further down south, we're actually approaching 50 in areas like Estevan. So it was a windy one outside today, and as we head further into the weekend, we are still going to be feeling those wind gusts close to 35 or 40 in Regina, not having to worry about those winds too much in northern areas, but as we get into Saturday, those winds really start to pick back up once again. Now, as we look at temperatures today, they were quite warm in southern Saskatchewan, still below seasonal in the north, but as we head south, that's when we really started to feel that warmth. We're seeing daytime highs near 5 degrees in Swift Current, right at seasonal in places like Moose Jaw and Regina, and also in Saskatoon as well. And these warm temperatures are going to continue as we head further into the weekend and the week ahead. Look at that week ahead. We're seeing temperatures in the double digits for daytime highs in Regina. Of course, we still got to look out for those wind gusts. They will be gusting as we head into the weekend and even into next week as well. We could see some rain on Wednesday, but still looking at highs around 12 degrees. In Saskatoon, of course, that warmth will be making its way back in as well. We're looking at highs in the double digits next week. Of course, we still are going to be feeling those wind gusts in Saskatoon as well. We are not quite done with those winds. And, you know, these temperatures are going to continue as we head further into next week as well, Sam. I really do think that we're done with winter, but you can never be too sure.
I don't want to brag, but I'm off next week, and that forecast made me really excited to be on holidays.
You should be outside every day, Sam. You better be.
Thanks, Ty.
No problem.
Stay with us. We have more news after the break. Welcome back. A fifth estate investigation has uncovered new details about the Titan submersible and its deep-sea expedition to the Titanic that killed 5 people last spring. We now know multiple warnings were issued and ignored about critical design flaws. Mark Kelly has more.
It was 2023 and the Titan submersible had become a bit of a fixture in St. John's Harbor.
Check it out. Got a lot of people working on the submarine.
This is YouTuber Jake Kohler preparing to leave port bound for the Titanic. But in Kohler's words, everything went wrong on the trip, including a failure of the sub's computer system.
We've got to find out what this control problem is. That's sort of important, controlling the sub. It's up there with life support.
The trip was called off, and this was just 2 weeks before Titan would implode. But this wasn't the first warning. There were troubles with the submersible. The Fifth Estate obtained this safety report written by OceanGate's own Director of Marine Operations. In 2018, David Lockridge outlined more than 24 design flaws with the sub, including that experimental carbon fiber hull that deteriorated with every dive. His boss, Stockton Rush, fired him the next day. Rush assured people he had partnered with Boeing, NASA, and the University of Washington to design the hull. When contacted by the Fifth Estate, all denied they had built, designed, or tested the sub. Canadian Will Conan, who builds subs in California, warned Rush in 2018 in an open letter his expeditions to the Titanic could end in tragedy.
So do you believe that he was regularly misrepresenting the safety of the Titan?
Oh, sure he was. So why did no maritime safety agencies in St. John's question the seaworthiness of the sub as it traveled in and out of the harbor with paying passengers for 3 years? The St. John's Port Authority told us they watched the Titan come and go, but said it was Transport Canada's job to inspect it. Transport Canada told us because it was a U.S. flagged vessel, it was up to U.S. authorities. But the Fifth Estate determined the Titan was never flagged in the U.S.
I think it was General MacArthur said, "You're remembered for the rules you break."
And, I've broken some rules to make this. I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me. The carbon fiber and titanium, there's a rule you don't do that. Well, I did.
Was Transport Canada aware of all the warnings about Titan? The agency declined our interview request, citing the ongoing investigation by the Transportation Safety Board. Mark Kelly, CBC News, St. John's.
96 hours airs tomorrow on the Fifth Estate at 9 p.m. on CBC Television and on CBC Gem. And Tyreek is back with one last look at what is your long weekend weather.
Yes, so Sam, we're looking at seasonal temperatures tonight in Regina, much warmer compared to these past few nights. Of course, that snow is going to be falling, but it will be tapering off as we head into the morning, which is looking like a pretty warm morning. And as we head into the afternoon, that's when we'll see those temperatures get closer to that daytime high of 2 degrees. But we'll mostly be seeing that cloud cover tomorrow as well in Regina. In Saskatoon as well, a much warmer night ahead with wind chills around -7 tonight. As we head into tomorrow morning, we'll see temperatures around -4. That snow will start to taper off as well. And as we head into the afternoon in Saskatoon, we'll get closer to that daytime high and that warmth will start to come in, Sam.
All right, thanks, Ty.
No problem.
And before we go, an unconventional world record attempt for a good cause. Some kids in North Battleford are using thousands of boxes of Kraft Dinner in an attempt to make a Guinness Book World Record.
A very well-intended attempt to set a world record for the largest single-serve food box domino topple.
We got 13,000 boxes and we're gonna donate it to the food bank after we do the topple dominoes with it.
Putting box after box and then we go back and knock it like this because every box has to be exactly one box apart.
As fast as possible, but try not to knock it over.
My topple team, as I refer to them as, they're 11 and 12-year-old students, elementary school students, but they're so eager, the 12 of them, to come and make this a reality.
Had to do a little bit of domino practice at recesses.
I've knocked over twice.
I knocked over once. We leave a gap of 3 boxes, so if something happens and it gets knocked over, the whole thing won't be knocked over.
The community really turned out and supported us and provided us with about 7,000 boxes. But then we kind of hooked up with the Kraft Heinz Canada people, and they were so excited about what we were doing. They gave us an additional 5,500 boxes on top of what we had raised as a community.
Mr. Fox likes to take 3 students every week, right? Yeah. To the food bank, and we get to help him, and so this is just amazing too. And it's just great helping out.
All of the food gets donated to the local food bank. It's all going to a worthy cause. It's all going to combat food insecurity here in Saskatchewan.
He's gonna pick names out of a hat, and then whoever he picks is the person that gets to knock it down. It's gonna look amazing, and it's gonna be so much fun to watch. And I'm just so excited.
We'll find out in a couple months if they did, in fact, get the record. That's it for us this week. For news anytime, head to our website, our YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Thanks for watching. Have a great long weekend. We'll see you back here on Tuesday.